Welcome. We are late, but we are not too late to the party. Welcome.
Late, but we're live.
All right, we finally made it, y'all. We are trying our iPhones today for cameras, and oh man, you stopped right before that breakdown.
Hang on, I'll keep it going. Turn it back on.
Hold on, let's see. Let's make it look like everybody likes it.
Please.
Hey,
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate it. Today we got two cameras up.
Two cameras.
One,
Camera two.
They're iPhones.
Camera one.
All right, and we are going to try to pretend like we know what we're doing using some new equipment here today.
Bear with us.
And that is the point. That is the point. And we got my dog here, Apple. Apple. Yeah. So there's another. You do picture in picture. Somehow. All right, so yeah, there we go. You see, we have this camera here. This is an iPhone. This camera here, and then we got this camera here. So we're working on, and I realize there's actually maybe a delay in the audio. We'll work through that. Carter and I today are here to talk about working with international teams, everything that we've learned on building our India team. But we also had a few technical difficulties, and I think there was a spill.
Yeah, somebody spilled something.
Somebody spilled an energy drink almost all over all the equipment.
I don't know who it was. Hang on one sec.
Yeah. Now we're only half hour late to the broadcast today, and we didn't quite get lighting how we wanted. We were freaking out, but I was freaking out mostly just the stress of all these new connections today. So appreciate y'all hanging in there, and we will start inviting everybody again to call in. We need to get the link for the call in. So I will do that. I'm going to add a link to the description here for Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Just check on the comments. You'll see the link to call in, and then you can become a guest and we can talk. Basically, what is it that we've learned from the experience of opening an international office for PermitZip, starting with our partners in India? We have great engineers. Hopefully somebody might stop in and say, hey.
Yeah, I think Madoon wanted to stop in.
Yeah.
He's been waiting patiently for 30 minutes for us to get started.
Yeah, everybody. We've learned. All right, so we'll put the link also in the live on the comments. Wherever you're tuning in, I'm adding the link to how you can join in the live stream and ask us questions or contribute to the conversation. And here we go. Oh, I don't know how to do it with I don't know how to do it with YouTube, actually. I don't know how to make a live comment there.
Chat. You're on the right. Chat. Yeah.
Oh.
Go up. Scroll up on the one.
All right, there we go. I put it in the chat. YouTube chat, so you should be able to see it there if you're tuning in from YouTube. All 15 subscribers. Haha. So, all right. Let's see. Let's go back to OBS. All right, so this is our, actually we shouldn't be using OBS. We should be on Restream. There we go. So we can see the comments. And if you join, we'll see you hop in. And Carter, if you could burn some time, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So topic of the conversation is working with our team over in India. It's been a wild ride. It's been probably 6-7 plus years now. So a lot of craziness, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of lessons learned, just like you would with any regular, employee trying to train employees. Is not an easy thing, especially for a younger company. There's an added layer of complexity there when it's across the world on the actual other side of the world. So here today, just to kind of talk through the experiences that we've had personally, and as a company, going through that, and maybe somebody else can learn from that experience, and hopefully we'll get some of the guys to jump in that are actually on the team. They should be wrapping up their day here soon, but maybe they stayed a little bit later just to jump in and come say hey, and maybe share their experience with it all. We've got one side of it, but we would encourage anybody that's got any feedback on the conversation to jump in. Maybe you're thinking about doing this for your own company. Maybe you have experience. We've had some conversations with some other folks that have done it, that have tried it, that have different experiences with it, and we've done it for long enough now. I think we've seen a lot of sides of it, so we have a lot to share on the topic. And any questions or anything, just feel free to click the link in the comments on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and jump in. And if you got your camera, you can turn it on and jump on the stream, and open to any conversation about the topic. Kenny's upstairs doing something, waiting for him to get back. But in the meantime, we can check to see if there's any comments on LinkedIn or anything. And Madoon, I don't know if you're on this, but if you are, jump in, man. Benoy, Heron, Praveen, shout out to all of you guys. You guys are great. Been just an integral part of the team from day one. Well, some from literally day one, Madoon and Heron. And then Benoy and Praveen are also, OGs. Shout out to them. Just been an integral part to the team. If you're one of our clients, you've probably seen their names, come across on the email. I work with them. They are amazing, and we all depend on each other to do the work that we do. So, and shout out to them for holding the fort down while we do this crazy podcast stuff. They've been really just working hard to help keep up with the work. So, guys, for those of you just jumping in, link in the comments on LinkedIn to join the stream, ask questions, call in. If you don't want to jump in and ask us a live question, you can always just comment in the LinkedIn post your question, and we'll take a look at it. We're going to try to be doing these live streams a couple times a week. Starting next week, we are starting the tour, officially the Blueprint Tour. So we'll be traveling to different folks' offices throughout Richmond, some developers, some architects, some contractors, GCs, subcontractors, a lot of great design and construction partners that we've been working with that we're going to just basically go set up shop in their office and talk to them about coordination. That's not the topic of today's conversation, but the whole entire tour is going to be based around coordination, pros and cons, and just trying to have some open and honest conversation. And Kenny's back here, so I can stop rambling.
I had to go to the barber. I had to go to makeup. There we go. Now I feel like a human being. We didn't have time to get prepared before this. We have the new iPhones. We're trying to figure out the best video setup. But back to the topic at hand, I think one of the biggest and most important things for an engineering firm or an architectural firm to keep in mind is the regulations revolving around engineering supervision. We've always been a little bit concerned ourselves with what that means, how to regulate or have direct supervision over and control over somebody who's drafting. And I think in this world, people just try to act like drafting is all you need from somebody if you're going to ask for somebody, let's say in India, to do some work. And that's just really not even a practical thing to ask for. You need a person who has reasonable background and a great education to help you make decent decisions. And quite frankly, a lot of the regulations today are pretty outdated in terms of what they say. And we've struggled a lot. So we've been to India, dozen times or more. When COVID hit, we haven't been back since, but we used to go 3 times a year to India, develop a relationship with the team, make sure that they have the aptitude we want. You may have seen a clip earlier of me talking about last year. We had a lot of people leave because one of our primary concerns was with the team from last year that we had. They weren't at the place we needed them to be to justify having direct supervision and control. There was a lot of things being drawn. They're like, what's going on? You're here, you're making decisions, you have to have very strong engineering principles supporting that. Otherwise, we can't have you. And it's a legal matter. And that became a political thing for us internally. It was upsetting to some people to hear that basically they've been working long hours. We'll get into this, but night shift, all these other things that are not great for them. And then only to have me come into the team and say, nah, still not where we need you to be. I need to be able to sit before a board of supervisors in any given state and say that I have, as a professional, so does Carter, direct supervision and control, which means the competency for those working under my supervision and control needs to be at a minimum. And the understanding of what the codes are, where they come from, how they're derived, how they're connected to the law, how they're defined by the law, all these things, where what you'll find a lot of the times when you're hiring from a place in a different country, they're more focused on, I would say, like drafting and modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not so connected to the laws. And they'll say, yes, I'm conforming to the standards. But the moment you ask a very deep question about that standard, it starts to fall apart. So if you're doing it, you really need to vet the team, make it clear what the baseline knowledge needs to be, and move forward from there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do a little mix here. Check, 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 check. All right, sorry, our faders were turned down as well. So,
real quick on that note, I mean, that's
Yep.
it's a pretty complicated thing for anybody, even somebody that's a native U.S. citizen, new employee, just understanding that. I think the thing that made it click for me was like there are criminal laws, there are traffic laws, there are building laws. There's no difference. Of course, they're all different, but the principle is the same. And just understanding that what we do is regulated. It's legally regulated, and you have to get a good understanding of what those regulations are. It's hard for anybody, even somebody that's fresh out of college, to really wrap their heads around that. So now the added layer of complexity for somebody on the other side of the world to get that is not an easy thing to teach. But that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah, and so yes, correct. When you're a junior, even on the U.S. side, leaving college, coming into the construction world, I'd argue in any engineering world, it's easy to underestimate the legal part of all that.
Mm-hmm.
And to say, really, first and foremost, you have to understand what the regulations are around what you're doing. If you're a software developer, there's a lot of regulatory about cookies and privacy and all of that security that I would argue is probably, it's the most boring thing. You don't become an engineer just to become a lawyer, but we make it a priority for the new people now to understand, like, listen, before you can get into the fun part of the engineering, I need you to dive into the legal and the boring and the understanding of codes and how they're derived. And then from there, you can start consulting, getting access to our clients, talking to them. But if you don't even know what state you're in,
or what jurisdiction you're in,
or how the state itself defines the building law.
Avenue.
We had somebody tell us that we had a project on Pennsylvania Avenue in Maryland or something like that, and they thought that the jurisdiction was Pennsylvania. So another challenge which you'll find is we will have between our team in India and in the U.S., and we get this feedback a lot from other U.S. folks that have worked with India, is that they'll say, okay. They'll just simply say, yes, they understand something, and it's absolutely not true that it's understood. You'll find out much too late that there was no understanding, that you're on different planes, so to speak. And I don't know exactly what it is, but a cultural divide on like not necessarily wanting to say no to your boss or be seen as like incompetent in the moment. Whereas in the US, we're more like, if you don't understand, I really need you to tell me you don't understand right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have the time to find out in 2 months that you've been working all this with a guess, with a misunderstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, no shame in not knowing something. I mean, that's obviously you get to a certain point where you have to know things, but especially if you're, new, junior, whatever it is, learning. That's mostly a personality trait, but it also seems to be, it could be cultural as well. The reluctancy to say, honestly, can you tell me that again? I don't know, or what's an AHJ, or how does that work? Or what if we're in this state or this city, and the weird nuances between like maybe a local code overriding a state code, or a state code overriding a national code. That's something that I think is like us now riding a bike, but when you're first starting out, it doesn't make any sense. I remember that was for me. I was like, well, how could a city have more authority than the nation?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Why does a state get to override what the national or the federal national government on the national level of codes, or even international level of codes? How come a state gets to override that? How come a city gets to override that? It makes sense now, but first starting out, that's not a easy topic to wrap your head around.
It's still a little bit unclear. Even now, there's the ADA laws that are federal that are enforced, and there are federal laws, then there's state laws, then there's local laws. And in one example, Maryland allows each jurisdiction within their own space to override the state building codes there. Virginia is the opposite. In Virginia, the municipalities are not permitted to override the statewide building code. And if you're working in multiple states, this is extremely important and nuance to understand what you're interpreting and what you're reading. So if you have an international team that's just focused and hyper focused on modeling or just like thermal calcs or something, it's really not working. I mean, the thermal calc you do for a load is defined by the code. Which method you use is in the statewide building code or in ASHRAE or wherever it's at. They'll tell you how the loads are to be performed. So if you're using HAP just because you were trained and you're in an office in India, you're just doing that, then really not connected to the fact that it's real calculations being done on real projects for real buildings, real money being spent by real people. And connecting your team to that is a challenge.
Yeah.
So we have what other things? Traveling there we think is important. Like when we first started, we worked with Cadiosis out of India, and they're in Kochi in the state of Kerala. And if you're just tuning in, just by the way, you can hop in. We have some links in the chats. You can join the conversation, ask questions to us. We're talking about our adventures in building the international infrastructure at PermitZip and how we've done it in our team in India, how we built their competence. So again, there's a link there. If you click it, you'll be able to be brought in as a guest to ask questions. We'll be happy to help discuss what you're dealing with. What a lot of people deal with is they might try to outsource, and it's a one-off thing, and it's a disaster for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's unpredictable. And that's, for us, that's how it worked. The first time we did it, it was, oh, that worked really well. And then the second project, we hired it as a project fee. It didn't work. That's when we realized, all right, we need to hire these people full time so we can train and we can develop and we can work with them and develop the relationships and have some control over the benefits and the package and all that. Eventually that turned into a business that we own, a subsidiary in India, a legal entity owned by the parent company. And now it's evolved into that, because the only real way for it to be success, at least in our experience, is a long-term relationship. I mean, we've been doing this since 2016. Yeah. And legally in India, I don't know, since 2019 maybe or so. 2018 is when we officially created the business there. And it really wouldn't be a success without that. Of course, we have an amazing team of engineers that have been with us through that, the good, the bad, the ugly of that whole thing. And they've, if you've worked with us, you know Heron, you know Midun, Praveen, Binoy. These are some of the top talent senior engineers that are capable of answering calls or listening or helping it get emails responded to. And we trust them because of their competency and their amazing ability and growth throughout that process.
And it's a two-way street, because I mean, obviously they're smart, but that relationship is key. I think what a lot of people think when they think of something like an outsourcing is we just send it over and it comes back, and it's not that way at all. We are working with these guys all day. We're talking to them on Slack. We have calls with them in the morning, the afternoon, in between me and Kenny doing this crazy podcast business. We're actually working through designs with them and having conversations just like they were sitting at our desk in an office in Richmond, in Virginia, and wherever, right? It's just they're on the other side of the world. We're on this side of the world, but there's still that communication, that relationship. We've been there a couple times, have drinks with them, go out, eat, work, just like you would any other employee in an office. It's just a long plane ride to get there.
Yeah, it just takes 14 hours from here to Dubai, and then a couple hours. Yeah. Sometimes a layover is like a day and a half in Dubai, which is kind of cool. You get a chance to go and chill there, but then a 4-hour flight down into Kochi, where our team is. So we've been there so many times. It's a lot of fun. We're looking forward to this summer taking the podcast out there and actually having a conversation with them. There'll be opportunities for everybody to tune in and ask them questions, because we want to show off how talented that team is, the engineering team there, just so it's understood that you can work with and collaborate with a team internationally that is capable of tremendous engineering prowess. Our team can take care of complex engineering, and of course the supervision's there because they wouldn't be on the team if we weren't confident in their ability to make reasonable judgment. And we always will review an email before it goes out, and are cognizant as professionals, licensed professionals, of how important it is to maintain that supervision. Now, if you're just tuning in, you can click the link in the comments, hop in, join the conversation. If you have questions specifically about international teams, and we are experienced since 2016 in dealing with our relationships with India, we're happy. That's what we're talking about today, is how that's done. So hop in. We can bring you in as a guest. You can ask questions, or if you have experiences, happy to discuss it with you. But yeah, so that's kind of the key in general, is regulated professional engineering, licensed professional engineering requires licensure, competency, tests, education, ABET accreditation, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to delegate any of that work, you have to have what's known as direct supervision and control over that work. So you can't just have it go disappear to a team you don't know. You need to have an understanding of their explicit skill set, their weaknesses, where they need strengths. And if there's something being done by them, then ultimately still has to go through you as a professional. You have to be involved and aware of any decisions that are made along the way and override that. And so the supervision is constant. We're always on the phone. We're on Slack with the team. They've gone through long periods of night shifts, especially through COVID when we were all freaking out. And so that's another difficult thing with the team. Having one that's willing to to do that with you is not going to be the easiest thing in the world. And if they are, then making sure you're aware of that and doing your best to push it back to a normal day shift for them. The benefit of them being on their standard day shift is you go to sleep, the work keeps happening. The downside is you're not having as much direct supervision and control. So you really don't know what's going on. So you try to find this happy medium in a little overlap time. Like, it seems like an ideal kind of compromise is the team is off by around 9 or 10 a.m. our time, and we have a couple hours of overlap. Yeah. But that's only if you have a team you can trust to be working 6 other hours without much input. And you get on the phone, you can riff with them, talk through the design. But if they're not there yet, it's almost, you can't delegate. You just can't let somebody work straight 8 hours that has no understanding of the laws and regulations.
Yeah, they'll just sit there and they need some, maybe every hour or two need a nudge in the right direction. That's true for any new employee. Another thing on the topic of that relationship, and I know some of the guys, if you guys are watching, Benoy, Harry, Madoon, Praveen, jump in and give us your feedback on this. I don't want to speak for y'all, but I'll try to. When we started doing the night shift thing was actually right before COVID. And of course, you addressed the need for direct supervision and control. That's most important. The other thing was we experienced kind of a U.S. versus Coach G. It felt like we were two different teams where, maybe there was some frustration on our side about them, what they were doing, and maybe we were underestimating how much the actual design and the drafting work was taking. And then from their side, they thought we just sat around and went out to lunch.
Podcasted all day.
Yeah, and podcasted all day. Like, who does that? That's stupid. They thought we maybe just sit around and waited for an email to come in, and if you're a professional design consultant, how much time that could actually take. I think who we're talking to, Kurt, says you could be busy all day and feel like you've gotten nothing done. So what I'm talking about on how long it takes to be consulting and look out for those emails and the phone calls here and the RFI here and the fire that needs to be put out here. And that is a full-time job, right? Just doing that. So there was some, I don't want to say resentment, but maybe there was, resentment that resulted from confusion and a lack of understanding. So the solution was, all right, everybody's on the same shift, right? We've been there. We've kind of done the part that you guys are doing right now, but come see what it's like to be on our side and be the consultants. And we got them involved in the meetings, sit in and listen. And I think that if I could pick one thing, I can speak personally, that was the one thing for me that made the most difference in my career growth. So I can only hope that it was for them. And I think it was when they finally clicked, and not just for them, it clicked for me too, was, oh, this is really what goes into that final 5 to 6 page PDF that you get sent. That's 3.5 megabytes. There's a lot of time and meetings that go into making that happen.
Yeah, or the feeling of embarrassment from something that's obviously a light switch on on glazing or something.
Yeah,
There's those moments that happen only you can gain experience from during the U.S. hours. And so the trick is trying to figure out how to get that training and then balance getting people back on their schedule. That's still today a challenge for us, getting the coaching team. We call the coaching team because the city is coaching Kerala, India, that our office is located.
Yeah.
But back to that normal schedule. So yeah, again, any questions? If you've worked with folks in different countries, just share your experiences with us. What kind of challenges you've had? Go ahead and click the link. You can be brought in as a guest. Happy to have you. If you're one of the team members now, and you want to hop in and just share your experience, then hop in and do so. You know, this is again, every time we do a live stream, this is an open conversation. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think, the good, the bad, the ugly of what your experiences have been with international teams. And we're just sharing everything that we know from our experience in doing it. We've been doing it since 2018. Again, just to recap, if you're just tuning in, we started working with Caddy Assist, Suraj Nair in India, and with some one-off projects. Then we went to what they call man-month basis. Eventually, this evolved into a company that we own, a subsidiary company, Arkanjan India Private Limited. And now the team works directly through that with us, and now we have more control over the payroll and benefits and that kind of thing, which is really ultimately what you need to have a long-term successful team that you're really collaborating with. And that's where we are today. And, we're actually trying to bring them further into the parent level, bring them in to be at the partnership level there too. So, yeah, the thing about teams and being disgruntled or being frustrated is an important one. It happens even in the US. Like, even if it was a US based team, then your team might just like not say where their frustrations are directly with the management or whatever it is. That drives me crazy, because even as an employee before I ran this business, I was always very clear with the managers about my personal frustrations. And so when somebody on my team isn't direct with me, it irks me, because I'm just like, well, tell me what is the point of just being frustrated if you don't tell me how you're frustrated? And I can tell you that's even more challenging with a team in India, because culturally it's very different. If there's an issue, our understanding is that your issue has to be discussed to your direct supervisor, and that direct supervisor then goes to the HR manager, who then communicates it with XYZ. And it goes through this weird hierarchy. It's almost as annoying as following the chain in the construction world. We have to go to the architect, then go through this, then go through Procore, then this and that. It's like, well, I could also just talk to this person and solve my problem in like 2 seconds. And so we deal a lot with that, and we try to encourage our team to be open more with their frustrations, but at the same time trying to respect the fact that there's a reason that cultural difference in structure exists. It's challenging. It really is. I mean, if it was up to me, I would just rather everybody just tell me straight up, I don't like this shit and that shit stuff. Sorry, LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Just this bothers me, this bothers me, this bothers me. That way I can say, well, I can fix this, but that's off the table. Yeah. So if that's a problem, then I'm sorry, I can't fix that. But these two things we can. But otherwise, it's just a team of just like being annoyed at stuff and talking amongst themselves. This isn't just the India-US relationship thing. This happens on the US, obviously, too. Used to drive me crazy as an employee. All my fellow employees bickering amongst themselves about how annoyed they are with upper management or the project managers and all this. And I'm just like, walk up to that person, say those words to that person, and see what they say in exchange. Because what are you telling me for? So to me, that's a frustration running the team, and we've done a great job. The team today has done a great job breaking through that, and a lot more comfortable, I think, than they probably ever have been in any career position with saying things directly to us, which took a long time.
Yeah, they keep us in check too, I mean, we help them, they help us, sort of thing. I mean, if you've been on a team, any team, but especially in a professional design consulting role, you know how important it is to have another brain to bounce ideas off of, and in the same way that me and Kenny might talk through a super complicated, weird section of code, and how the fire pump section of the NEC is basically completely inverse with the rest of the code, or some weird nuance about why it might need to be lockable, and all these weird nuances in the code. I'd have those same conversations with Benoit, Yep. I mean, and you have those conversations with Madun in the HVAC world, and like Benoit is my brain to bounce ideas off of, right? And I'm his, it's like he is a professional colleague for me to help me think through those ideas, and like I said, if you've been in that position, you know how important that is, because we all know the code, but sometimes we just need another person to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, that's a big one. Culturally different. My son just said, "Very nice video, Dad," on the comments.
Broadcast.
He said they're upset because we do frogcasting, where we go live on Facebook to our friends and talk about frogs.
Is this not what we're doing right now?
Yeah. Wait, where's the frogs? But yeah, that brings up an interesting challenge. I don't know. I'm a different bird. Carter's a different bird. A lot of Phil here in the U.S. side, we're different bird generally. So I don't know if we represent the U.S. Employment population that well, but at least as far as I'm concerned, U.S. it seems more comfortable with a little bit more challenging the direct supervisor, a little bit more comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're talking about technical riffs, like Carter was saying, he can riff with Benoit, I can riff with Madoon. We see each other as like equal, and we're just challenging each other because you get to that point where you want to get to the bottom of the best decision for engineering purposes.
Yeah.
That's hard to get to that place with an India team because they're used to being told exactly what to do by a direct supervisor and doing exactly that thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what kind of engineering team I want to be a part of. I want to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. The client said this. I'm thinking we go in this direction. Why don't you run a load calc, do this, and let's take a look where we are. And then having that person not just say, okay, and do it, but like, okay, so it makes sense, except for have you thought about, if you approach it that way, then we might be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, shoot, you know what? You're right. I completely didn't see it that way. And so there's a culture. We noticed this after our team got large enough that it was just too much, like do exactly what your supervisor said, which leads to a lot. I mean, your supervisor is by far the least smartest person in the room. I am not the smartest engineer.
I mean, it's like a war general. You know, a generalist. They've done everything, they can do everything, but they might not be deep in the weeds enough to see like a weird little nuance. I mean, both of those perspectives are important.
Yeah. Sorry,
is that funny?
Yeah. I gotta remember what these are. Sorry, that was a little bit of.
Here's the chirping noise for Benoit, Heron, Madoon, and Praveen that are too shy to jump in and ask us a question. Where are they?
Where they at? Maybe they got to get their makeup on like me today.
Yeah.
We went live. I did my hair done.
Get your hair did?
Yeah, I had to get my hair did. Here's my dog. We're up. This is Apple. So yeah, we talking again about our experiences building an international team. We've made plenty of mistakes along the way. If they would tune in and they could tell you exactly what those mistakes are, we've made plenty of them.
Benoit said he's watching on LinkedIn, but click the link, the Restream link.
Yeah,
that's how to join, guys. So you're watching in a LinkedIn, but in the comments on the LinkedIn post, there's a studio.restream.io. Click that.
Oh, look at that. Here's Madoon.
That was fast.
Hey, you got to get that camera on, though. What's up?
Yeah, get your camera on Madoon. We'll
He's probably
get
nervous.
you in. Benoit, up next.
Oh, yeah, this will be nice.
This is, we'll let him get here before they do the intro, but a pre-intro is Madoon is a day one OG.
Day one.
Hell and back, roller coaster, permit zip.
Been through it all.
Yep.
The one, the only, Madoon.
Madoon VS.
Yeah.
Just got to get that camera on Madoon.
Yeah.
It looks like his audio's coming through. We'll just punch him in.
Check.
Let's see.
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
What's up, Madoon? You're on.
Okay. Yeah, that's all. That was right. Like, we don't have that makeup on, so that's why not.
Don't have their makeup on. Yeah. Well, we'll get it figured out.
I have that backlight coming in. Like, it'll not be that clear. You guys are on the DSLR, and
Oh, yeah. Well, we actually on iPhones today. That's what part of why we were so delayed, because mine, the little lightning cable thing doesn't really work that well. This is my phone here. This one. And over here.
This is my phone.
This one's Carter's phone. So it worked out. It's pretty cool. We got a little switcher here. A10 Mini Pro allows us to switch between.
Can we put him up so like at least I can see
this? I think it would only show if he had his camera on.
He's got to do his makeup.
Yeah, he doesn't have his makeup on yet.
Yeah.
All right, so Madoon, tell us. So if you're just tuning in, we got Madoon from the team on here, from the Kochi team tuning in at the wee hours of, what is it, like midnight there?
Yeah, it's like 11:30.
11:30, going on midnight, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been with us since the very beginning. Actually, I think Madoon worked on the very first project ever.
That's true.
That was ever done when he reached out to Siraj, and we did it like a project basis. Do you remember that project?
I think so. Like, we did the modeling for the design, I guess. That's what I remember.
Yeah, yeah, man. Jeez, it's been such a long ride. I remember the first time I showed up over there, y'all thought I was like some 6 foot tall
Yeah.
like dude, and I showed up all 5'8" of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who's this short dork? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, tell us, man. What do you think has been the biggest challenge?
Like it was a big journey. Like we had a lot of challenges. Like we overcome some. Like we diverted some, and we have still some problems within us. Like we are trying to solve it. So yeah, as you said, like the biggest problem is that like we are living in two different time zones. um, so that was the biggest challenge we had in the initial point. Like we'll be working at the morning time and we'll be sending out some drawings to you guys. You guys will be getting up, and at that time you will be thinking something and you will keep giving us markup, and we'll be
Yeah.
working on that. That was like dark era of permissive, I think.
We've had a
We try
few.
to keep up. Yeah, we try to keep up with them. you know we are not connected. Like we were not on the same page at that moment. Like after that we pinpoint that, and we started having the overlap time, discussing how the things are going, how the construction there works, how we were introduced to the code thing, started reading the codes. Initially we were like, why should I read this thing? Is that important? Like, but after that, we think that's a basic building block of what we're doing. That's the basic thing. So we started reading the codes, and we started using upcodes, which made us like more into the uh, building codes. We search for codes, different, you know, concept of codes, like how it's been interpreted. Maybe like something which is written in the code, maybe we may not be thinking right. It may be the other way around. So we had
Yeah,
that discussions.
how many times have you read the code and then 3 years later you read that same line and you're like,
Yeah,
oh shoot.
That's what that means.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
literally right there. It didn't even change.
Yeah. So if you're just tuning in now, I mean, dude, what he's talking about is upcodes. If you haven't used it, upcodes is basically taking all of the codes from each state and making it searchable and integrating AI. You can now like ask AI questions about the building code. Of course, do so at your own risk and verify things. Also,
yeah,
upcodes can be risky because it's not necessarily always accurate. One thing that we ask the team to do is verify that they know upcodes is accurate and tell us how. But now we don't ask that as much because we trust that the team, especially Midun and Binoy, Praveen, and Heron, have really accelerated their knowledge. I remember Midun, you and I, when I first came back to the mechanical team after Ben and Simon left, we did our first code study for that smoke stuff. Remember the smoke control, stair pressurization?
yeah.
We spent a whole day just reading the code. Just like, and then the day was over. I was like, all right, I guess tomorrow we'll try again. The meaning of code research, I think, is hard to communicate to somebody, even on the US or the India side, like how much goes into that reading of the code. But now you're an expert.
Yeah, it'll take you
Yeah,
a lot of different directions. You'll read once.
exactly.
I
Like
don't know
I
about the
remember,
HVAC
like
code, but
Kenny bought us the actual printed IMC code book. That was like huge, big, and we just search for the index page and we look for the ventilation. We read only that. Like
Yeah.
we've been pointing some specific things and we only read that. The other codes are like, yeah, that may be a code. Like it's not affecting us, but each and everything is like interconnected. The building code will be calling out for the energy code. Maybe it's calling out for the mechanical on plumbing. Like it's all connected each other. We didn't see that. Like we'll be just seeing that code and just interpreting that and just going on. But it's all connected. So somewhere there around, like it will be connected to something. So we never know. Like then we started working on the city. We got like usually used to get a lot of city comments back then. We started realizing that like we should be doing so much of code research so that everything is perfect and you don't get back the city comments. And we reached some points at a point that like the city comments are like minimal, like very small or something. Like it's a good achievement, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that always makes me nervous to say, did somebody actually review it and thoroughly enough? But yeah,
Yeah.
that's well, that is a challenge too, just communicating the risk. Like I remember we Mary, if you're out there, love you.
Love you,
But
Mary. Join the stream.
yeah, Mary Harris, get on here, join the
Come roast
stream.
us.
Come roast me. But I remember one time, now this is early on before she started understanding it either, being like, well, they don't even give us comments that don't have to worry about that jurisdiction. I'm like, Mary, all right, we have to have a conversation about who is ultimately responsible. We are not given a free pass just because a reviewer doesn't catch something. Like the engineer of record still bears the responsibility of the code being enforced legally from both the civic, what do you call it?
Ethical.
Civil standpoint, ethical standpoint, legal standpoint, criminal standpoint. Like if you're negligent, for example, these are highly regulated things. And no amount of jurisdiction not giving you comments will alleviate you from that responsibility. And that is a hard thing to communicate. So yeah, imagine like, oh, they won't give us comments. We're fine. We're free and clear. It's like, maybe we did a great job at the code interpretation, or maybe they just rubber stamped it.
Yeah.
Like, but it makes me nervous. I like getting comments like, okay, somebody paid attention. It's like a free third party reviewer. But yeah, I think Madoon, you and I started realizing how interconnected the code is when we diving into the building code. So if you're
Yeah.
if you're listening right now and you're not familiar with the code, or if you vaguely are and you're a mechanical or plumbing or electrical designer and you think you live in just the NEC or just the IMC or just the IPC, or way off base, you got to go start at the building code, the actual international building code. Yeah, Madoon knows now.
Yeah, you'll miss some generators on 5-story buildings in Virginia.
Yeah,
if you stay
elevator
in the NEC.
connections. Yeah, legally required stuff that shows up.
Egress, lighting where it's required.
Assembly type, or Madoon even caught. We were doing a project. He caught the I2 requirements, pointing to a different ventilation standard than you were not allowed to use IMC in that case. What was it? ASHRAE. I forget what it's called.
170.
Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all got to understand, Madoon and Heron and Praveen and Benoit, these guys are bright engineers, and it didn't come easy. We've been through some difficult highs and lows, and they've put in the work, but they are extremely talented. I mean, Madoon catches me all the time, just missing a little detail. But like he is extremely intimately aware of the codes on the U.S. side, and I can say confidently that his abilities are at or exceeding by a high level of percentage those other engineers that I've worked with in the U.S. side that kind of find themselves comfortable in a larger company and they're just kind of going through the motions. They might be doing the drafting and themselves getting caught in that with no real accountability. Like our team in India has found the one that we have today. Now this is different a year ago. The team we have today is now sitting straight at the very front lines, understanding the real accountability and ethically that they have to the world that is being built around humans, the safety implications of their knowledge and their decisions. And I can't be more grateful for the work that we've been through together, but it did not come easily. It is not just like turn on the India office thing. It's like, oh, go through hell and back. And we finally have, I think, gotten there on our side. But again, that's why we're doing this broadcast. And if you're curious about it, we encourage you to call in and click this link and ask us questions, because we have been through it. We got Madoon on the phone right now from India, waiting to go to bed. It's 11:30 his time. Wanted me to talk to him about a project about this church that the Asbelts don't meet. Madoon, why don't you walk us through that? Like right now, go ahead and tell him, what are you looking at right now that's a challenge?
Yeah, it came back like it's a project we were working on. Like it's been an year, I guess. Like it came back to us with some background updates. Then we thought like it was actual background update, and we started looking into it. But actually, what they did was like just made the drawing to match the site condition. The thing that we started completely based on the as-built drawing which they gave to us, so we were blindly depending on the as-built drawings, but the thing that actually got installed is like entirely different. So our drawing has some units which are not on actual got installed. Like it's a different units. It has different airflow rates, it's different capacities. And I was working on the loads, and we just completed the drawing with the as-built, but Kenny had a site visit last week, and it came to our realization that the equipment it got installed is like a different capacity thing. So we'll have to
Yeah.
figure it out, like how to step it down, or like can we direct some ad to some other places so that Also, the use case is also like the use classifications also changed. It was classrooms, educational space, I guess, and it was now changed to an office, which requires lesser outdoor air. So
Yeah.
that's a bit messy.
So Midun is smack dab in the middle of like existing building, supposed to be very simple lift and shift project that we as engineers often, and I'm sure in the architectural design community generally, you have a client come up to you and say, "Oh, it's just a couple of quick changes. We're just moving some walls, adding some walls. Oh, we have as builds. Okay, cool.
Easy, right?
Yeah, right. This should make the fee cheaper. Well, it makes it just immeasurably more complicated. So the architect, did their design based on the as-built drawings. We did ours based on the as-built drawings because our contract has stated that we're going to assume that these are correct. We're assuming these are correct, which means we create drawings based on that assumption, which means a general contractor and his subs are making pricing based on the assumption that our drawings are accurate as well. Mm-hmm. So we find out, oh, wow. The architect finds out the bathrooms actually are like 10 feet over this way. Oh, and there's a couple other things. So I go out in the field and say, well, let me look in the attic and see what's actually going on with the HVAC. So I get some photos and some videos, send it to Midun. Now he's reporting back. He's an amazing engineer, right? So keep in mind, Midun, who's on the phone right now, other side of the world, 11:30 p.m. his time, has understood the problems now. He knows what we designed. Like he's gone through the videos and the photos that I have that I'm sure I could have done a better job for him. And he's now identified, oh, wow, this isn't right. We have this many tons here, this many tons here. Now how the heck are we going to do this lift and shift, which is supposed to be lift the diffuser, move it over based on a wall, rebalance. Now we got tonnages that don't even match, equipment that's sort of there. And it becomes a complete chaotic, troubling problem. And then he's got to sort out. And then he's got to figure out, wait, what's a reasonable decision for me as an engineer? Like in the US, would it be fine or suitable if we go in this direction? Or am I going to get screamed at because, oh, this is all hard ceiling. That's going to be too expensive. So connecting, and Midun's done a great job of this. Our team, I think, Benoit has also improved on that. Yeah. Connecting the decisions that are made to cost a little bit better.
Speaking of Benoit.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We got Benoit joining us.
He was having some audio issues, but maybe they're working. Benoit, if you got your makeup on, throw your camera on.
Yeah, we got Benoit here. I'll wait. So yeah, if you're tuning in, we got on the line with us is Midun and Benoit from our coaching team.
Carter and I. Team, electrical team.
Yeah, the real brains behind the operation. And I mean that sincerely that, yes, I'm the licensed professional and it's my responsibility to make sure that these are ultimately my decisions and that I understand the decisions being made when delegated, especially across the world. But I think part of that supervision for a professional is to understand who it is that's doing the work and having trust in their competency. And Midun and Benoit have more than many times over proven their competency. In fact, Benoit is like licensed in his own jurisdiction as well.
Yeah. 500 kVA, I think. Let's get him in here.
Yeah, let's see if we can get Benoit here. Benoit, check. Can
you hear us? You might still be having. He said I'm audible. Benoit, no, you're not audible.
Oh, this is cool. Yeah, we're gonna have to send you guys some mics, Midun and Benoit, and some cameras.
I need some lights. Like I need to mix this.
Get some lights. All right, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
I've been looking up some. They have some decent little like LED lights that you can put up. So we'll see if we can find something.
He said his audio input isn't supported. Audio input is supported with audio.
All right, if you're just tuning in, we're trying to get Benoit on here to talk to us again. We got two folks from our India office that have been through it. Midun, who's a mechanical engineer and has been since literally the very first project that was ever done in 2018 or so, or 2016, when we first started this relationship.
16.
16? Yeah.
I guess.
The very first one he's done, and he's been with us ever since. He's seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and he's been an incredible, trustworthy leader. He's a general manager. Amazing engineer. And then Benoit, who's been with us a long time too, who has just incredible talent in the electrical engineering world. Carter's been working with him directly. When I was on the electrical team, was hanging out with them. slowly realizing how much better they're getting than me as I edged my way out. Now I try to pretend to be able to hang. That's my role here. Benoit, check 1, check 2.
Yeah, he's got. This is what's popping up on his thing. It says audio input none.
Oh yeah, don't make it say none. Yeah, try to say something other than none.
Yeah.
Maybe like asking,
thanks.
like, should be reconnecting it or something. Maybe it's not dictating.
It's the simple things.
Yeah, audio should definitely not say none.
It's the simple things. Benoit has engineered a 9-story building with a life safety legally required generator. Drafted a beautiful single line, making it super clear to consult on and understand. That's probably Benoit's Hall of Fame project in my mind. I'm sure he's got another one in mind, but Norfolk job was amazing.
Yeah, that's the same smoke control.
Yeah.
Stair pressurization one that Midun and I were working on.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, like we did the code map on that. Like, initially, like we started reading every building codes, especially like looking for like whether we need the stair pressurization thing or not. Like, and we found out some exceptions on which like we could, exempt the smoke pressurization thing from the building. But we had the conversation with the architect, but it doesn't go well. Like, we had to put every machine in them.
Yeah.
Huge fans,
Yeah. Oh man, massive fans for smoke purge.
Yeah, you guys driving up the sides of our generator through the
Yeah,
roof.
yeah, and it's also connected, and that's like Midun was saying, it's also connected. And I think that was really, or even I was like realizing, man, this is pretty intense, because now you have potentially smoke removal. So in a high-rise building, you have these requirements to pressurize certain areas to keep smoke out of an egress path for people for, I forget what it was. There's like 10 minutes or some period of time that this stuff has to be online, get people out of the building. Well, it's got to be on generator, and these fans aren't small. And quite frankly, a mechanical engineer shouldn't necessarily be responsible for exactly how those are designed. It needs to be a life safety professional. Maybe somebody does CFD modeling. This is ultimately where it went for us. And like, once we know the CFM, the flow rates, we're like, all right, we can put some fans in place. Then it gets connected. But then there's also the fact that after the fire is done, said and done, everybody's out of the building and there's going to recovery, then the first responders or second responders cleaning out the space, it's still going to be full of smoke. So then there's a smoke removal system that's supposed to remove the smoke so that you can occupy it to clean up after the fire. That's in my belief, that's the intent of all that code. Well, it's also integrated because if there's a vestibule and other things, then you don't need stair pressurization. So as a mechanical engineer, like, whose decision is that? That's what Midun and I were trying to figure out. Like, wait, are we supposed to be deciding that this is needed? I mean, because it seems like there's all these compliance paths. It's almost like we need to be told, give us stair pressurization.
Right.
And so this is where engineering crosses over disciplines and responsibilities. It gets a little hairy, especially if you have an international team that's not as strong as Midun and Benoit are. And Benoit led the charge on the research in the very beginning of that project. Found a lot of those requirements.
And to your point earlier, all that stuff was in the building code.
Yep.
Not the discipline-specific code.
Not a lick of it was in the mechanical code or the electrical code. The electrical code just says, hey, if you have legally required stuff, put it on a generator for 701 or
700 is the life safety. I think 701 is the legally
required.
Yeah, of course. 702?
Series optional standby.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah. I'm an electrical engineer, so I know these things. Let's see.
Yep.
We got Benoit yet. Hey, Benoit, test 1, test 2. Wow. Well, we tried, Benoit. How do you not? Do you know? Well, he's an electrical engineer. He should know.
Yeah, but it's computer stuff, man. It's different.
Yeah, it's not. He's not a computer engineer. We're gonna get the gadget team in here to help solve that. IT.
Yeah, where's Heron?
Probably sleep.
Camera shy. Ravine. See the lights on.
They didn't have their makeup done.
Well, I don't think any of us did.
Yeah, I started the podcast with my flannel and my hair all crazy. Man, it was a stressful. I was hollering at my kids on the door earlier. I was like, "Y'all be quiet," and my wife's like, "Well, you should do podcast randomly in our living room." It was fun. It was a good
living
fun.
room. This is a living room. This is our podcast studio.
Yeah, no, it's a podcast studio. That's definitely not why there's a random dog just sitting here. Just by the way,
he's a prop.
This is Apple. He's a prop dog.
He's really sleepy because, yep, there he goes.
Lazy. So yeah, so if you're just tuning in, we're about to wrap up the podcast, but sorry we were we were a half hour late today live streaming. I'll chalk it up to a little bit of new equipment that we just trying out today. We get it now. We understand how to use it, but you can see this is part of how we can transition between cameras. We're going to end up with 3 cameras, so help make things a little more interesting. We got Midun and Benoit on the line. Benoit's audio is not working. The topic of today has been working with international teams, collaborating, the political challenges, the cultural challenges, the legal challenges, all this kind of stuff that come up. We've been doing it since 2016, and it's been a wild ride, but definitely worth it. And I think in 2024 for Permit Zip, we are primed and ready to go. We have an amazing team of consultants that are keeping up with the real engineering needs for each project, especially, real engineering needs that are beyond just drafting or modeling, answering real questions.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to get through with an international team. I think it's probably easy to, when you're so separate, just kind of like, I don't know, not really think it's real. And I don't mean to speak for you guys, but I remember when I was designing U.S. embassies in different countries, it was just so different. The construction isn't next door. It's in India. We did one of the embassies in India. It's in all these different places around the world. And RFIs and stuff and problems in the field weren't really directly connected. So Midun and I guess Benoit, if you get your audio working, is that true? Is it easy to kind of be separated from it? At what moment did you start feeling like directly connected to the real construction?
Yeah, like when I started my career, like it's not quite easy to get directly into the design thing. So we started as a drafter or like modeler. So at that right moment, like we came in to collaborate with Permitsip. We started working for them. Then we started exposed to design stuff. But we were mentally prepared, like we mentally tuned to model accurately, draft things accurately. That was our mindset. Eventually, when we were like we didn't think of of beyond that, like we were in the boundaries of design. It's a little bit, and drafting is the major thing. That was our mindset. But when time passed, like we started, we had some issues. Like then we started realizing that there's something else. We were like ready to work on that, but we don't know where to go. So that's where like Kenny and our team in USA came to help. Like they started, giving us ideas, like giving us thoughts on what we did, like exposing us to the design more, and that made us what we are right now. We had like a lot of issues, like connecting that gap between us. But eventually, when it more clicked, when the work from home thing started, like we were working in the same time zone, and we started discussing more, and the code part is more important. We started doing the code maps, thinking into the design a little bit more, discussing on them, sparring on it. That's the time point when we started thinking like what we are doing, like what we are preparing for, who the audience are. Like we what we do is like we are preparing the drawings for the C2 to be reviewed and get permit. So it's not kind of that of a drafting thing, rather it's like a code within the code and preparing the design to be a better thing. That's what we are doing. So we started putting blocks, like restricting ourselves to be like a designer, not a drafter. We started doing that. So the thing started to be like we spend little time on drafting, spend more time on designing and thoughts. That's where we are right now. That it didn't happen like before. Like we were thinking like drafting is the major part of our time consumed. And design is a little bit.
because you see it happening. It's like that's work. You're drafting,
Yeah.
something's getting created, and the mental energy behind the right line is more important. What about you, Benoit? What has it been like for you? The
Hey,
journey between.
Finally got Benoit in the stream.
Yeah, Benoit. Benoit's here. Welcome,
That was
Benoit.
quite loud.
All right, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
I tried my phone.
Say what?
He's coming.
Uh,
He's like on his phone.
Oh, he's on.
So
So yeah,
yeah.
Benoit's joining us from his phone.
Actually, my headset to my computer wasn't working, so I checked my phone. I think it's working.
Yeah. So how's your journey been? From
Yeah,
tell us about
actually, I
it.
started directly with my side jobs, and very firstly, I was assigned to a multi-story residential building that is located in Mumbai. Uh, that's like a junior level of electrical engineering, and I was representing Praveen Electricals from Mumbai. That's like basic conduiting and basic residential wiring, installations, lighting, and all residential outlets that's required.
You said a
And
multi-story building in Dubai. That was mostly
yeah,
wiring and conduit. Yeah.
not in Dubai, it's in Mumbai,
Oh, Mumbai.
part
Oh,
of
okay.
India. Yeah,
Yeah. Got you.
it's almost like a 53 around. It's like a twin tower, and it
Oh,
has
nice.
like first of the 9 floors only parking, and the
Wow.
nine or 10, if I remember correct, that is like completely, that story is completely for entertaining, like theater and parties and all. And after that only that the residential part starts to that building. That's located in the other, that in almost the heart of Mumbai. And once finishing that, I moved to one of the commercial projects, that is Tata Projects Head Office in Powai. That's also located in Mumbai.
Tata.
And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they're
Tata
everywhere, right?
Projects,
Like
Tata
Tata's
Projects.
huge in India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was almost for that project, I was started almost like in the 20 or 30% of the process, and I was completely there until almost every documents and construction were completed. And after that, I think I had one other project. That's also one for residential, and there was some like 2 or 3 stories we completed, and after that I moved to one another industrial project, that's Coca-Cola plant expansion, Siliguri, that is located in one India's northeast border.
Nice.
And
Coca-Cola. Did they give you a bunch of free soda?
no man, it's actually that plant expansion, and
Oh, you
the
got
working
somebody.
part was like it was located much far from where we actually had that current plant. And that's the last site I had direct exposure, and after that I completely moved to designs and joined Archington like permits it.
Yeah. Yeah, we
And
got
after that
Praveen
I'm here
just
for two
tuning
and a
in.
half years.
Yeah, there you go. Put the camera down a little bit. There you go. That's better. Got you your camera, Benoit, if you can angle it down a little bit. So you're there you go. There we go. See your face. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And we got Praveen here. I'm not sure if his audio is connected yet, but he just tuned in as well. He's from our coaching team, and we're just chilling with our coaching team now, just talking about their previous experience, what they've done, and what it's been like riding around through the permit zip machine.
Permit zip train.
So Benoit, what would you say the main difference in construction, like design, because you said you've done a couple multifamily projects in Mumbai, and
Yeah,
we do multifamily here. So what would you say would be the biggest difference from an engineering standpoint?
like in the standards
Yeah.
for US, and yeah, it's entirely different. When I actually started in permits it, and I was like, what is happening with the voltage systems, and it took me some like time to understand uh, like the difference in the voltage system that we have here in India and that we used to have in US, like the different voltage systems that is available for different type of like we used to have 120 systems, 122 systems, and 277 by 480. In India, for the like range of projects I did, it's like 230 or 415 three phase that
Yeah,
usually do work
because I
here.
mean,
And
there's no low voltage, high voltage in India, right? It's just all a three-phase service comes in. It's either like at a four something and or a two
yeah,
something.
415, yeah, voltage.
Yeah. How about the grounding?
Mostly the other installations goes on 230 volt for a single phase.
Oh yeah, 230 volt. Yeah, that's how you
Yeah.
can. I'm gonna pick on my sister-in-law again, Mary.
Mm.
If you're tuning in and you're listening, you know Mary. She's we went to Ireland together. She plugged in her hair
She plugged in her hair.
straightener into 230 volts or something, and it's only rated for 120.
Fried
it up, totally destroyed it. Because we have this weird thing of low voltage here in the U.S. We got 12240, we got 12208 single phase, we got 208 three phase, we got Delta transformers like Delta high legs, we got 480 volt step down transformers, and it's a lot more straightforward. I think in most every other country, except for the U.S. We just got to make shit complicated.
50 hertz too is pretty common, and we're on 60.
Yeah,
It's on
are
a lot
y'all
of
50
places.
hertz, Benoit?
Yeah, 50 hertz.
Yeah. Is the grounding similar where you have like a single point bonding jumper at the main entrance?
Yeah, grounding with the grounding standards almost similar.
Mm-hmm.
We usually used to have like road groundings and big plate groundings for the transformer installations.
Yeah.
What is it? DB instead of we call it MDP, like a main distribution panel. What is it, Benoit? DP or
Board,
DB?
yeah.
DB.
Yeah, actually it is like we have like switchboards and for in the like residential installations, since it's like the distribution board DB.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost similar to the panel board load center that we used inside the residential building units.
Is the permitting process similar? Do you submit the drawing for permit and review to the
Yeah.
authority,
It's
comments and all that?
for the residential installations. It's that like yeah, we still have the permitting and inspection processes going on. Like we have to take the pre applications from the authorities, and then after completing all the work, we have to submit our all the loading details, and they will be providing us some inspections, and later on that they will be like approving our designs and all.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
I think
Praveen.
electrical and electrical only have that thing. Like mechanical and plumbing doesn't need a permit, I guess.
Mechanical doesn't need permit. They're
Maybe.
gonna leave us out
Yeah.
like that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's not cool. We got Praveen on the line.
Praveen,
Fluent
welcome.
Design. Yeah. All right, Praveen. Hey, all right, everybody, calm down. I know.
That's great.
Welcome, Praveen.
Yeah, welcome. Thank
Everyone
you.
has become
Yeah, actually, right now we are speaking about the HVAC, electrical and plumbing on commercial constructions in India side. Am I right?
Yeah, we're talking about the standards in India because Benoit was
Yeah.
talking about his previous design.
Actually,
experience.
for the plumbing, I think we don't have much restricted in India. So for the plumbing, we have to follow just the rules of like thumb rules, like how much the size of the pipings and everything.
Rules of
So,
thumb. Oh man,
sorry.
Rick Owens would not be okay with that in Richmond.
Nah.
So here, what we are is we will just go to the IMPO the codes, and for the codes, what they are saying, we will say that okay, it's everything. It's everything for the all the projects. It's not like that. So we will be having what is the thumb rule and what is the code saying that. So minimum requirements, everything. So as what we are right now we are doing in the US, we are not going too much deeper in the codes
Yeah.
for the plumbing. So only the thing is the endpoint of the
Calling.
because endpoint is that they need the water to be coming all over the fixtures.
Are you
That's it.
guys hearing this? Like, is the mic is howling or something? Like,
There's a mic howling.
No,
or it's just me?
Is it howling at you, Benoit?
No, here for me.
Maybe it's a
Maybe it's
ghost.
me.
Oh, we're down a camera. All right. Oh, it's fine. Oh yeah, my phone died. Ha. So yeah, the rule of thumb, is that what you're talking about? Like just rules of thumb. I mean, we use that for HVAC. We use like tonnage, square foot per ton,
yeah,
or CFM per square foot. So that's one thing that the contractor world is used to doing that often leads to pretty nerdy, intense conversations where the contractor's like, well, 350 square foot per ton should be fine. And we're like, that's not how a load calculation works. That's a rule of thumb that helps you get an understanding early on how much this might cost. But if you're going to be a restaurant versus an office, that square foot per tonnage is going to be vastly different. And even that's still
Yeah.
a rule of thumb. Is it a restaurant that's 50,000 square feet with an uninsulated roof? Because that's different than like a restaurant compact inside of a fully insulated building with good, insulation practices. But, plumbing probably the same. Water demand. You guys follow different Hunter curves, right? Based on if it's a restaurant use or office use for your fixture unit conversions, those curves. So those are rules of thumbs pretty much, But yeah, that's interesting. The difference in the plumbing world.
yeah.
So-
The main important thing in the here, what we just follow is that the sanitary line, because for the
Yeah.
sanitary, for the water line, there is no much of a problem with the codes. But for the sanitary, we everywhere we just follow is the invert level and the slope. So this is the main important thing on every basis of the work for the storm or for the sanitary line. But what I just feel the difference when I just started working with the US team or US projects is that here in US we are just giving the most important thing is for the codes. So what the code says, that is the law. So what's the
Yeah,
law?
literally, literally the law. Yep.
So the law. So what we have to do, even though we have too much of have knowledge or we have too much of experience, everything, just read the law. What it says, just go through that. It's not that we know everything and we just go and do the designing of ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's what here. But this is a main important difference what I saw from the Indian culture of engineering and US uh, engineering. So here, maybe I'm saying about the plumbing. I'm not saying about the electrical and HVAC because I don't know much about that. I'm saying about the plumbing because for here for the huge projects, maybe we'll be have to do some substanting any codes to show the clients or something that we are following all this. But normally here for the designing works, there is no codes or nothing. Only the experience and the previous projects failures we will take
Because we did it
into-
last time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good
So-
point to bring up. Is that we did it last time? That can
Yeah.
creep into a company on the U.S. alone. We used to get yelled all the time in my old company when we did embassies. We just copy it over because we did it last time, and that's just such an easy habit to fall into. And you got to work against that with all your might with your engineering team. That what you did last time could be wrong,
Yeah.
and so if you did what you did last time, you're copying over the wrong thing from project to project to project. You always got to reread the code. The team. You've heard, if you've been listening in, you've heard Madoon and Benoit, or who everybody talking, bring up a few permazip specific things like the code map. That was my version of a roadmap. We call it the code map, or you hear us say things like the warm up or other things. These are internal processes that we've tried to institute here to make sure that we break the habit of what we did last time. Every single jurisdiction project is a different project, no matter how small it seems. And a lot of people on the smaller side of things like commercial don't really appreciate it. I was just in a meeting with Carter yesterday in a building, and the guy was constantly being like, why do we need a stamp?
Yeah.
Why do we need a stamp? And I won't tell you the exact reason because I think it's going to be a quiz for Benoit
Yeah.
to answer later on. We found a reason why they need a stamp. Let me tell you, it was a very important reason why they needed an engineer on this project. It was a small project that we identified with very little effort, something extremely dangerous for the occupants in that building that needed to be addressed immediately or could cause some serious life-threatening scenarios. And so we did it last time, creeps in, and you're not taking every project as a separate thought, then it's very serious things can happen even on the simplest projects. In this case, it was a very small restaurant, not a huge
Restaurant
project.
turning into a restaurant.
Yeah, a restaurant.
Branch circuit work. you
Yep.
know.
Yep. Well, we are just out of time. I would love to keep talking with you guys, but I know it's late y'all's time, and I'd like to do this again on like a morning time with y'all. I think it would be great to do similar, guys, where we kind of do it at a time that's maybe a little bit more conducive to y'all's schedule, so your friends and colleagues can call in and ask you questions too. I'd also like to have some of our clients call in and ask you some technical questions so y'all can show off how smart y'all are on your code abilities, just to show how far we've come as a team and how far you guys have come as engineers and learning all of the US standards and the things that we have here, and just say, yeah, we really know what we're doing. I mean, Madoon and Benoit, you got just casually mentioning some very specific things as if it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal.
Like somebody with like 20, 30 years of experience, just like so casually throwing it into a conversation. That's a lot of, it's like riding a bike for them at this point.
Yeah. Then Madoon's like, oh yeah, well, the ASHRAE. I was like, what was the ASHRAE section? I still forget it. What was that section? Madoon? ASHRAE.
ASHRAE 170. It's like ventilation.
Yeah, for healthcare ventilation one, ASHRAE 170. Yeah. He's like, 170.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, and he was the one that found that for this specific project, reading deep into the code, did incredible research. Lo and behold, that ended up being switched from I2 to I1, and it didn't apply anymore. But thank God, we have an amazing team of designers on all sides. So, anyhow, we appreciate everybody. We're going to wrap it up now, do the outro music, and say thanks for tuning in. Benoit, Madoon, Praveen, thank you all.
Thank you all.
You guys are awesome. Appreciate it. Everybody else tuning in, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
All right.